Today I'm at OPEX Fitness in Scottsdale, Arizona. OPEX is a physical facility where people come and work out and get on-site coaching, but also has a strong focus on remote coaching and coaching education. Since 1999, OPEX has produced a CrossFit Games champion, 50 Games competitors, and over 500 regional athletes, as well as over 1,400 coaches worldwide. My guest on the show is Jim Crowell. Jim is a director of operations for OPEX Fitness. He has the entrepreneurial role of simultaneously growing the business lines while also putting structure and process around the entire global business to ensure it grows financially and culturally for the long run.
If you own a gym or you need a gym, this is your guy.
My name's Mike, and I help fitness studios that are ready to take action, work hard, and grow their studios. In this very saturated industry, there's tons of competition, but the opportunities are incredible. We'll cover the most common challenges in the fitness world and invite guests in the show that have learned to overcome them and share their strategies with you. This is the GSD Show. All right, Jim, so the reason I wanted to have you here for part one and part two of this episode is because of OPEX and the amazing things that they're actually able to do. And tell me a little bit about OPEX and what it is from the ground up. And then also tell me a little bit about you and your role within the company.
Sure. OPEX essentially is a fitness business. So we have coaches all over the world who we've educated through our principles of coaching. And we have clients all over the world who we coach either remotely or on site. So that really was started through James Fitzgerald, actually in Calgary. He came out of a strength and conditioning and found himself in CrossFit and ended up winning the first CrossFit Games. Okay. So there was a big amount of popularity that came with that, and he realized that there was just a lot of coaching principles that he wanted to teach the world. Okay. That turned into coaching online, that turned into having an on-site facility, that turned into lots of athletes competing at the highest level. And we've just been trying to grow that and trying to stay within the message of OPEX, which is really to live a larger life through fitness.
Okay. And now OPEX isn't just a gym though, where you can come and work out and learn how to get in really great shape like some other CrossFits, right? You guys have expanded way past just that stuff. Yeah,
well, we have an on-site facility, but we don't have any group classes. So, our facility might look like a CrossFit in terms of functional fitness equipment, but all of our clients have their own individual coach, and that's something we highly believe in, where they are getting instruction all the time. So they don't just have somebody for an hour in front of them, they have somebody for years that is helping them kind of learn, grow, evolve, progress. We've also taken our model and put it into an education platform. So we have live courses that we do all over the world. We have virtual coaching education that's within our platform online. And we're constantly trying to build out sort of the next layer, the next phase. And that next phase is looking like there's going to be some OPEX facilities all over the place.
Cool. And your role within the company?
What do you do? Yeah, I'm the director of operations. So I handle the business lines for OPEX. So I would be, I'm a bit of a hybrid, so I do a lot within accounting and financials and marketing and sales, HR. I used to be a coach, so I have some hand in trying to help coaches and evolve their progression as well. But really, I'm sort of trying to evolve the business lines to the next level.
Cool. You have a big July 4th coming up. What happens July 4th?
Well, I start my MBA at University of North Carolina, so I'm excited to do that. I'm doing that online so that I can keep working with OPEX. I didn't want to stop doing that, and so it's going to be a grind for a couple of years, but I think it's going to be something that's going to be pretty great.
Congrats, man. That's actually really cool. A lot of people don't ever get to go back, and they want to, but there's just so much they have to do outside, especially once you have your family and you have work. And this is actually, for people that are listening to the podcast and can't see it, this is actually down here, your studio, and where people come in and work out at your gym. And so right now, this is open gym right now, and you're going to have coaches come in at about 9 o'clock.
Yeah, so the way that our model works is that we're teaching people how to actually exercise. We don't want them asking us how to do a back squat every day. That's not the point. Our goal is to have them progress through good coaching, through good instruction, and through consultation so that they can feel like they are actually progressing and not just showing up. So we don't have group classes. Everybody's on the floor in more of an open model so that it looks like open gym a lot, but we have coaches that are on the floor for hours and hours every day who are helping and supporting those athletes and clients. But it's not, you don't come in for a 60-minute block. You come in to do your workout. If your workout takes you 60 minutes, then you're done.
Right.
If it takes you 2 hours, then you're done. But what people need to remember is that everybody is different. Everybody has different goals and priorities. So to put a normalized time frame on them doesn't fit, and
Right.
and that's what we're trying to create, is a model that fits for the client. Our big motto is that the coach, the client, and the owner has to win. And when we look at other business models, that's where we think that ultimately at some point in that model they break down. And so we want to create something where all three of those people win, and they win consistently, and they win over the long run.
Yeah, and about the different type of people, as we were setting up, there was a guy that was doing a handstand. He was walking on his hands for like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then there's competitors out there, people that actually compete. And then there's a hockey player, a pro hockey player. And then you had one person that, what did she say her goal was?
Aesthetics. She wants to look awesome.
I think she said sexy.
Sexy could have been the word. Yeah, could have been the word.
Sexy was the word.
Yeah.
But so all different types, right? That's her goal. She's not competing, not playing hockey. She wants to look at her best.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have people that are competing in not just CrossFit stuff and functional fitness stuff, but also hockey and other professional athletes as well. The people that are down here working out and the people that come throughout the day, that's a portion of your membership, right? But you have a much greater portion of your members are not even in the state, right?
Yeah, we really look at them as different business lines because they're a different type of person. So if you know OPEX, we're very well known for coaching competitive CrossFitters and competitive athletes.
Okay.
And that's something that we go after online. So we've got well over 10 times the number of athletes remotely as we do in our facility. And that's by design because we have coaches who are incredibly advanced at understanding how to coach online. And we've created a system that allows us to do that. So it's a business that we might not have somebody who's very new in fitness because that's not necessarily the right platform for them to be working out with because they probably need a bit more hand-holding up front. But it's perfect for somebody who's been in the game for a little bit and understands where they want to go, understands where their strengths and weaknesses are. And we've created a platform through technology, through education, through consistency that allows us to coach them extremely effectively and see them, thankfully because of technology,
Right.
for years and years, and it's been extremely effective for us.
Now, in part 2 of this episode, we're going to dive into the education piece, which is another line for you guys that does very, very well. And a lot of people probably want to dive into and don't really know how to start it. But for this particular episode, I really want to dive into that, the online portion of your business, because I know a lot of people have already taken the leap into online coaching and they're not doing it well.
Yeah.
Or they're struggling once they get their first 5, 10, or 15 members, how they can keep that going. And a lot of them have a challenge with even starting an online coaching program. Psychologically, it messes with them because they think that there's no way you can deliver as good results online as you could in person.
Mm-hmm.
The way I look at it, people that have been doing it successfully, you guys as well, maybe that's true, maybe not, and we'll talk a little bit about how you've been able to figure it out. But let's say it's even not as good as you being right there, being able to watch their muscles fire and being able to watch how tired they are and if they're getting flushed. Maybe you're not able to see that, but we are still giving really, really great service through an online platform if you're setting up an online coaching program. So does it really make sense to say, well, if they're not in person, then I shouldn't work with them at all?
Yep.
As opposed to just like anything else, an iPhone with a 64 gig memory or space is better than one with 16 gigs, but it doesn't mean you don't sell the 16 gig because it's not the 64. There's still people that can get a lot of value out of the 16 one, right?
Sure.
And so with the online coaching, I think, my thoughts on it is you can still deliver a great service. It may not be as great, but it's great, and you can still lower the fee to be able to make it more affordable for them, and also your margins are a little bit better too. But let's talk about how you guys have done it. Let's start from the very beginning. When did you guys first say, maybe we should start doing this online? Or did it just happen organically because you just naturally took one or two and then thought about it?
Yeah, one thing that came to my mind as you were talking there is that you have to hit the right people with this. And so I know a lot of coaches are trying to go online because it sounds easy. You know, it's like, well, I don't have to have a facility, I don't have to have equipment, I don't have to have da 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 da.
Right.
But I would argue that you need to have reputation and you need to have a consistency about your service that allows people to understand who you are. All the Facebook ads in the world aren't going to get people to just naturally trust you. So you have to have results based around it. And that's one of the reasons why we're so adamant about doing an on-site business and doing it exceptionally well, is because that gives us credibility in the online world, because people can see who we are and where we go. So I want to make sure that people understand that it's not easy to go online, but it is a great service. And that's where also coaches need to get their heads out of the gutter a little bit. Is it's a wonderful service, and I don't think it's lesser. I actually think that for a big number of people, it's better.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
So why do you think it's better for a big number of people?
Well, you've got a lot of people who move pretty well, who have a very good understanding of where they want to go, and who don't need day-to-day coaching. You know, they don't need private training every day. They need to understand how they work and how they progress so that they can rely on themselves. What the coach is there for is to help them in a grand picture of that, to consult with them. They do, and just as a side note, our coaches do that monthly. They have a kind of like a global consultation with their clients so that they can see big picture and make sure that they're progressing the right way. But these clients need to be in an environment where they have to rely on themselves. So remember that our target market isn't new people. Our target market is clients that want to be athletes, right? And so
people that already have, for the most part, that form down, and they know where to push themselves to, and they know how to do it safely and correctly.
Overall, yes. Now,
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. We see a ton of videos from our clients. We have a great platform called Fitbot that allows us to see day-to-day training that happens. So we are watching them closely, and that's an important part of it, because we'll call them right away if something's a little bit amiss or awry with their form. But generally, it's not necessarily that form is bad. It's that they've chosen a weight for a workout, or they've chosen to do an extra set when they shouldn't have. So really what remote coaching for us has been about is teaching the client how to rely on themselves, or teaching the client how to fish, right? Like, they need to be able to, when they're on the floor in a competition, know what they can do. And that's where remote coaching is great, is they have to learn how to rely on themselves. And it's not that it's a lesser service, it's that it actually gives them the understanding of if they can hack it or not. So for us, we want to help them do that, but within that, we have an extremely, I guess it is an intricate, complex system that we have around it, so that we can watch them daily. We can comment on their workouts daily. We're giving them daily workouts, and then we're having the monthly consultation with them, which would include nutrition consultation. It would include lifestyle consultation. Are your clients sleeping? Are they progressing? You have to have each of those layers to make sure that you are on these folks day in and day out. As a business, it's great because we can scale that, but really it's still one-to-one. So it's never going to be as scalable as putting 75 people in a room with yoga mats, you know what I mean? But for us, we won't give in terms of quality. We want to have one-to-one coach-to-client experience, because we believe that's where people will get the best result.
Right, and everything you just talked about, you could totally tell you're a systems guy.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we do this every month, and we do this every week or every day, and there's a process, and it seems like it all works within Fitbot. What I've learned talking to some people that are really diving into the online game, or they hit a point where they plateau, they just can't expand past a certain point, they don't have a system.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing that they're missing. And it's really any business, whether you're brick and mortar or whether you're online, if you don't have a system, you're going to plateau.
Yep.
Because you hit that point where you can't afford to hire, but you need to hire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that weird adolescent phase. But I've seen people are still communicating through email and text and phone calls, and it's not in one organized spot. Files and workouts are shared through like Word docs,
Yep.
or notepads, or Google Drive docs.
Yep.
Videos are shared through like YouTube or FaceTime, or just sending a text with a video in it. So it becomes chaotic,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing's really organized and structured. And would you say that that's probably the reason most of them are failing?
I think that there's a lot of reasons why they're failing. I think that that's certainly a big reason, and the way that I would try to to explain it from our side, is that we put systems into place to allow the coach to be great. So we want the coach to be able to have that authentic relationship with their client and not have to spend 2 hours a day figuring out what platform to put a workout through, or if to text back or to email back, or there's too many things. Yeah, exactly. So we have done Google Docs, we have done emails. And clients who watch this video are going to say, yeah, I used to get emails from you guys, but that was not going to work in the long run, and we knew it. And so one of the ways that we've scaled greatly is we've made the coach's admin time much smaller. And just from a business standpoint, I dug in exceptionally deeply to understand how much time they were spending doing that stuff. Because that's not coaching, that's admin work. And we have people that do additional admin work for us, but that's what they're paid to do. Our coaches should be coaching. So we wanted to give them a platform and a way to deliver programs, see the results from those programs, quickly comment, but be able to see all of the benchmark data, the nutrition data, and that's what Fitbot has provided us with. Now, don't get me wrong, we still do Excel work, to understand data at a more granular level, but in terms of that client experience, they have to be treated like a rock star, because that's what they're paying for. So we wanted to create consistency around how they're handled from an admin perspective, so that we knew day in and day out the program was going out, it was a great program, the results were coming back in, our coaches were interacting with them, and then we also added another component that's called Appointment Core, which schedules their monthly consultations. So now our coaches don't spend a minute scheduling their consultations, which, imagine if you had 40, 50, 60 clients, how long you had to spend scheduling appointments. So for us, it's little things like that
So clients schedule themselves.
You got it. Yeah. And for us, it's been wonderful. And why not? Because
so they see like, okay, he's got an opening here, he's got an opening there. So if you book ahead of time, you probably have a lot more options.
Yeah.
If you wait to the last minute, you're probably gonna have to settle.
Absolutely.
That's how it works. Okay.
And what also happens is we use a company called Infusionsoft for our CRM system. And so we've just created automation around the monthly consultation as well. So we want clients to have our monthly consultation. And if they're not prompted, they forget. So we don't want it to be 8 weeks for a consultation. We want it to be 4. Month in and month out.
So you have an email that automatically goes out saying, hey, don't forget to book your consultation.
And within that, there's a link to the calendar, so they just click, they're in, and now they're on the schedule.
Super simple.
Exactly.
And see, that's the win-win, because going the way that we talk about with the docs and the emails and texts and all that stuff, it's a lose-lose, because it's not just more difficult for you guys, but for the customer as well, for the client that's actually wanting to stay on pace with this. So I got to text this. Okay, so do I have to email this? Or do I have to send this an attachment so people aren't tech savvy? You just learn one thing and just follow a process that just automates.
Exactly.
It's a lot easier.
And they, we'll talk about this in education, but we have a full website and membership site for those coaches in education. And we also have a login for our remote clients and on-site clients, just to give them additional information if they want it. But we know that that's not the platform, because it's always a bit harder on a mobile device, and so we don't push that at all. It's just extra if somebody happens to want it. But that day-to-day interaction is massively important. And I think that, to go back to your question, I do think that that's why coaches are failing, is that they don't have consistency. And consistency can mean so many different things, but to us, it was that we weren't as consistent with the program send-out, the response to those programs, the days that those programs were going out. And that's not the coach's fault. They were busy, so we want to take stress off the coach. We want to make the user experience for both the coach and the client better. And because of that, it's yielded better business for the owner. So it goes right back to my comment that the owner, the coach, and the client have to win. And when we're building our business, that's how we build it. If we can't see how all three win, we don't put it into place.
The great thing about that too is, generally, not always, because with anything there's always generally I've noticed that fitness coaches aren't 100% tech savvy. They're not like, oh yeah, Infusionsoft, I got that, or oh yeah, email and Google Drive, and oh yeah, I know how to use all these things, Asana, no problem. They don't know how to use these tools. And if you have to teach them how to use it, a lot of them don't have a passion to want to learn it. Otherwise they would have learned it already. They don't even want to learn it. And so you're putting them in a position to where you have a really great coach that has to figure out how to be effective in his system. But if you can do what you guys did, where it's like, look guys, there's this one tool that we're using here, and this is where we do all our communicating. And here's when you follow up, here's how you follow up. Here's when you do this, here's how you do that. It's a lot easier because now it's just following a system.
Yep.
You know, and the coach can focus on coaching, like you said.
Exactly, and you know what comes to mind from that is that it's funny. Coaches want to be online tech coaches, and they don't want to use tech. And
no, I see
you know, so it's mind blowing to me, right? And so my question to them is well, why are you getting into this game?
Right.
And so, no, you don't need to use Appointment Core. No, you don't need to use Infusionsoft. There are very simplistic versions of sending, you know, outgoing emails that don't need to be in a complicated system. And Infusionsoft for most people is too complicated because they don't have enough time to understand it. It's a great system, and some people in a small business can use it, but a lot of people, they need to figure out all the steps before they get there. Yeah.
We use it. It's very robust, and you can do a lot of really great things with it. Really, if you understand it, it's simple to put together, but it takes a while to get to the understanding part.
Yep.
You know, and by having your system, you're allowing great coaches to actually be reflected as great coaches. Because what happens if you didn't have that system in place, you may have one coach that looks better than another coach, even though this one's better, simply because he knows how to use technology better.
Exactly.
So he's more efficient, can take more clients, can respond better. This poor guy, that's a much smarter coach, much better holding people accountable because he's not responding as efficiently, because he's not putting things together, or he's doing it wrong. He's losing clients and he might lose his job.
Yeah, and the way we would see it here is, you know, there's kind of an algorithm, right, of, well, how do clients actually get to you, or how do you build your business online?
Sure.
And being a great coach isn't enough. And I just hate to say that, but it isn't, because people expect a level of service now because they go into the Apple store and they're treated like a king or a queen.
Right.
They go into a restaurant and it's an incredible experience. So that's what they expect. So they don't understand what a great program is in general. So being a great coach doesn't necessarily yield you clients. Now, what I would argue wholeheartedly is that if you've been in business for 2 years and you have amazing results for your clients, that is incredibly valuable to you.
Right.
But if you're starting out and, quite frankly, you're a nobody, you have to create results for these people. And creating those results up front needs to have engagement with the client. And so if you're online, you need to engage with them. And if you're not, you're wrong. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. But if you can't engage consistently, you will lose clients. I don't care how good the program is. You're not, you know, me to you with that client.
You know, one of the things that I like to build my company as, and I got this from Zappos. Have you ever heard the Zappos experience?
Yep.
But I love this one. I got one main thing out of it. I got a lot of things, but one main thing that stuck with me is, you know, for us, don't build a marketing company, build a customer service company that just happens to be amazing at marketing.
Yeah.
Right? And for you guys, same thing. And I think that should be for any business. Don't build a gym that's really great at getting people in shape. Build a really great customer service company that just so happens to be amazing at getting people to where they want to be in fitness.
Yep.
Right? And because that's, like you said, what people expect. The larger demographic doesn't really know what a good program is. They just know how they feel throughout the program, and then at the end they get the results or they don't get the results.
And you know, to that point, just in spades, right? We've made many mistakes on the customer service side, and I'm sure that you guys have too.
Has, yeah.
You know, but it's always about how are we improving that customer service experience. And it's not, for us, we always have an OPEX voice, right? And so we don't use cheap methods. We don't use, you know, just gnarly subject lines to try to get people in. That's not our voice. So we've got to do it with results, and we have to do it with actual service for people. And if I could impart that on your audience, it's that you have to provide an amazing service first, and you have to wrap that into a great user experience second, especially when you're going to use technology online. Right,
and I've checked out your stuff, and you definitely deliver everything with supreme authenticity, which is great, and that kind of yields everything as well.
It's good to know.
Yeah, no, I mean everything. Even for the people that I just randomly talk to, everybody seems to be at home here, which is really great. So take me through the journey, because to visualize it, let's say I'm a random, you're here in Scottsdale, right? Let's say I'm a random guy in Chicago. And how do I initially even hear about your online coaching program to first even just sign up? How do I hear about it?
So let's just say we're in layer 5 of, I don't know, 100 layers of how we get the word out about OPEX, because we're not as big as CrossFit, we're not as big as the NSCA, we are very well known within our niche market, which
Right.
is essentially those coaches and clients who want to have an individual experience for themselves
I've talked
to
to
get
4 or
better.
5 people that knew you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and-
mean, every time I brought you guys up, I think I've been batting 1,000. Everybody's knowing you. So it's-
Well, that's good, right? But really, there's a couple of different ways that we do that. And number one, we've been in business for a while. So we've been essentially in business since CrossFit really started to get popular. And so we've had a lot of the athletes who have been to the CrossFit Games. Obviously, our owner won the CrossFit Games.
Sure.
And that was really important. That was very valuable to us. Now, we're not a part of CrossFit, but we're always kind of in that world because we still work with a large number of CrossFitters. So because of that, we're always in the conversation, you know what I
Right.
mean? And being in the conversation is huge. But for example, the last 3 weekends were regional weekends for the CrossFit Games. And so you see OPEX shirts, you see people with OPEX gear, you hear the name OPEX next to athletes and next to teams. That's really
people are
important.
sponsoring. And
Well, this was not a sponsor. These are our athletes. You know, these
They're
are
just wearing it 'cause they're proud
just
to
wearing
wear
it
it.
because they're proud. Now we do have some sponsored athletes, but we have to be careful because we have so many athletes that we can't sponsor everybody.
Sure.
So we have a very specific way that athletes can get sponsored, and it's basically on performance, and there's pure consistency around that, so that we're very fair with every athlete who comes in. But on top of that, we have a full marketing team. So, you know, we've got a great marketing coordinator in Andrea Kern, and what she's done essentially is she's built out our social media platform in a very authentic way. You know, we don't have 100,000 likes, but the people who engage with us are highly interested in what we do. So you combine those two pieces of essentially influencers in whether it's athletes or coaches being out in the public with social media who's getting the word out there. Of course we do some Google AdWords, of course we do some ads online, of course we boost posts and do Facebook ads for sure.
So if I'm in Chicago, I may not have, let's say, heard of you because I didn't watch the CrossFit Games, but I do know how to work out, right? And I know how to work out well. You know, I've been working out for a while. I never followed the CrossFit Games. So let's say I never heard of OPEX. I may be on Facebook, and I may see an ad, and that ad might say what, online coaching program or?
Yeah, well, it would probably be a little bit more intriguing of a subject line, you know, change your life through fitness, because that's really what we believe in. But yeah, it would be something that would be intriguing to them to learn more. And from a, you know, if we're going to kind of dig into the business part, well, actually, one thing that's very important is that we get lots of referrals. And it's an extremely important part of our business. And again, that goes back to the customer service piece or the Zappos piece is your best customers or your best prospects are always going to be those who know about you from an influencer's experience. So the better your service, the better the quality, the more leads and the more better leads you're going to have. So kind of going back to, you know, a strategy online, we often will do things that push into what are called lead magnets. And really what those are is it's just a content piece. It's free content for anybody who wants it, but we'll drive from Facebook into these lead magnets. And so we've got maybe a dozen of them up right now. We have training templates which are extremely rich in programming content for the athletes or for our clients that we have in the gym or remotely. We have pieces on how coaches can be better, building better culture, working with nutrition. So we have a lot of different styles of lead magnets, and so based on our social media strategy, we're driving to lead magnets so that people can get an understanding of what we believe in.
Right.
So it's not even the service that's up front. We want them to understand what our company is, what we believe in, what our mission and purpose are, and from there we have follow-up sequences based on what they do to actually move them through a funnel to get them interested in what we're doing. And if they're not interested, we don't touch them. You know what I mean?
But do they sign up directly online, or do they talk to somebody on the phone and get sold, and you kind of get an explanation of what the program's about?
Yeah, our biggest CTA, call to action for them online, would be to discuss or have a free consultation with our
Which is probably good for you too. I bet you probably don't want a lot of people just signing up because maybe they're the wrong fit for you guys, right?
Yeah,
is that possible?
For sure. I mean, we have a lot of people consuming our content. I mean, it's thousands and thousands per month that consume our content, and it's not that we don't want to have conversations with them, it's that it's just not efficient.
Right.
So we want to move them through a very specific process to understand how interested they really are.
Right.
And when they opt in for a request to consult, that's when we speak to them.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so now the person says, okay, great, you know, everything sounds really great. How do I get started?
Mhm.
So then at that point, do you just send them to a checkout link? Do you collect it right there? Do you take them through a process?
No, our advisors would actually take them through the whole process right there so that they don't have to go through an online link. And the reason we like that is because we want to give them help with who the right coach for them is. And certainly some people who come in through a referral know which coach they want, but a lot of people don't, and that's fine. And so we want somebody who's educated on who our coaches are to speak to these clients, because we want to put them with the right coach. And every coach has a very different personality. Once they actually purchase, then they immediately go to the coach for a consultation so that they can get to know the coach, they can build a camaraderie or a trust right away. Our coach can get a better understanding of who they are, and they can get an understanding of where they want to start the program, because our goal is to meet that client where they are. So if a client comes in and they were formerly a CrossFit Games athlete, it's going to be a very different starting point than if they were.
There's no 101 stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's actually annoying for them if you start saying, okay, this is how we do a basic squat.
We're not, so we wouldn't be talking technique with them, but we definitely run an assessment with them. So we want to understand where some inefficiencies are, where maybe some movement issues are, flexibility issues. So there's definitely an assessment that they run even remotely, and there is sort of a generalized template with that, and then it gets more specific based on the client. So I can't just say this is step 1, 2, 3, and 4, because our coaches are really good. So they move deeper and deeper with our clients to understand where they need to start. And then there's actually a testing phase for our clients, so that we can understand where they sit today, so that if we program back squat by 5, we'll put at 315, or somebody else maybe 245.
So for like a CrossFit athlete or somebody like that, they're not going to care so much about how do I do my body fat percentage and all that. They really just want to know their starting point. What was I able to do here? What was I able to do there? And how have I grown from there? But what about your average guy, the guy that, let's say, isn't going to be in the CrossFit Games? He does know how to work out, but really he's maybe got 22% body fat. He wants to get that down to 12. Do you help them understand how to measure their body fat percentage where they are now, or measurements or anything like that?
Yeah, so remember, let's assume that this guy is very serious about fitness, and that's who our target market is. We quite frankly don't work with newcomers online, because they really probably shouldn't be online, at least in our opinion. So let's assume that this person has a very real desire to drop that weight, and has a desire to be functional in their movement, and wants to put at least some priority into fitness for maybe even something else. Absolutely, that's part of the first conversation, is we want to create an expectation for this client about, well, here's why you came in, this is what you're saying you want. Do you really want that? Well, why do you want that? Is your family supportive of this? And so we want to make sure we create that environment for them to have success. And then to your point, absolutely, we want to help them say, okay, this is how you're going to do weight, body fat, etc. Here's when we're going to check it. This is how you're going to check it. This is the time of day you're going to check it, and I want results. Cool. So for sure, do
you send them to some place to get that done, or do you send them where to get a caliper, or where to get a digital analysis?
Yeah, I mean,
because I know some of those are more accurate than others, especially how you do it too.
Yeah, and body fat for us, and we'll probably touch on this in the education point, is we don't use a standard body fat test per se. So we have what's called a summary scoring system, and that's more of a numerical number, where your summary score might be 70, mine might be 100. The point is that it means nothing to you, and that's why we want that, is because we don't want the client getting so hung up on that number that they can't get past it. So we might have them get calipers, but in all reality, we want to probably help them with where they specifically need help, which may or may not be body fat. So if they are checking it, we'll definitely help them understand how they're going to check it. Also, though, we're not doctors, so we might refer them out to an actual doctor or a naturopath based on if we believe that there may be some underlying hormonal issues, thyroid issues, etc. Because we're not going to be the specialists there, nor should we be. But we want to try to ask enough questions to get to that point and say, it seems like something might not be kind of right here. But the only way that we can get to that is by asking questions, by baselining them in an assessment, and then by checking again and again. And it's like, you're doing the exact right things, your lifestyle's on point, you're sleeping, you're drinking water, food's good, not dropping weights. There might be something going on here, and either we can uncover it through the conversation, because certainly some people don't want to tell their coach that they're boozing on the weekends,
Sure.
Or there's something going on under the hood that, we want to try to explore, but not to the level that a doctor would explore. So we would refer out, and then we would speak to the doctor to have a better understanding of what's going on.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's
customer service.
Exactly. I mean, we want the best service for these clients. Our coaches are constantly learning how to understand some of these reports, how to speak to doctors, how to continuously better their communication skills with their clients. I mean, our coaches are good, and so speaking to anybody who wants to be an online coach, you've got to be really good, and so be very honest with yourself about whether you can hack that or not. Because I know some online coaches that have a great business. They've got 30 or 40 clients. They don't want any more. They do what they do, and they do it brilliantly well. But I know a lot of other coaches who have 10, 15 clients. They're not making any money. They're churning clients out the door month by month, but they've not taken a look at where they're actually deficient. So you have to take a look at this from a business standpoint.
Right.
So I'm a business guy, so I might say that, but you have to understand what's working and what's not. And I don't think enough coaches are really digging into what's working and what's not. So when we work with
they usually point the finger, oh, that client's not a good fit, or
maybe, yeah.
I've seen a lot of that where, it seems like when I ask people, why do you think people leave? Oh, most people just can't hack it.
Yeah.
Most people can't take the work that's involved in getting there, and I notice it's a lot of outward pointing as to why clients will leave them. And I never see a lot of inward pointing, which is interesting. And now with guys like you guys, obviously it sounds like it starts with you. What can we fix? And that's how we like to run too. But I've noticed that people that are really just starting in the game, and not just fitness, business, starting in the business, it's a lot of outward. Because they have a couple clients that give them the confidence that they are good, right? Because these guys have been with us for a while. We just need more people like that.
Yeah.
know.
Well, but it is interesting because through marketing or lack thereof, sometimes a gym owner has the wrong clients.
That does happen.
And so I would agree with you, by the way, that you have to look inward. But if you really do have clients that aren't good for you and you're not good for them, then I would argue that you should be looking towards clients who you fit well with. But agree 100% that if you're not actually taking a look at what you're doing with them or why they're leaving, you're leaving data on the table. You're leaving understanding or awareness on the table that you could learn from to make your business better or give your clients better results.
Right.
We obviously think that the better the client results, the better the business. I don't see how that's arguable.
Right.
So I think a lot of coaches need to look at that. It starts with results. It has to.
Right.
All the marketing in the world needs to be on top of a great product, a great service.
So now you've gotten to the point where you have tons of online clients, and I know in a lot of businesses, sometimes you get so deep into a new service that you've implemented that you feel like you can never get out. So I'm going to ask you this question. Now that you've gotten this far, if you could start all over, would you do it again with the online portion?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great business for a lot of reasons. What we're trying to build at OPEX is a full system under an umbrella, right? So online coaching is a huge part of that. It allows us to have some of the best coaches in the world under an OPEX banner who maybe would or wouldn't be part of OPEX if they had to be on site. It gives us a lot of research and education that we can gain from how our clients are reacting or progressing or not progressing from a specific program. It gives our business a lot of credibility, right? So we've got 500, 600, 700 clients that we work with. I mean, how much credibility do we have for our education program because of those clients? So economics of the business is similar to on-site, right, where we're paying our coaches a percentage of commission, etc., and they can do very, very well in the business. But our bigger scalable business is education, but it wouldn't be nearly where it is today without remote coaching.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's so many reasons
They
why
fed each other.
Exactly.
Cool.
It's a cool give and take business that I think has been very, very powerful in building OPEX as a whole.
Awesome. And that's going to help us transition into next week's episode, which is on the education piece. But thank you so much for helping out. I know a lot of people are really wanting to learn more about the online coaching side of their business, and I think this gave a lot of great insight on one, to really look at it, is it even right for you?
Yeah.
right? And two, if you do believe it's right for you, maybe you should start looking at other things as opposed to working hard on what you're doing, looking to see if there's other things you can start working on. Services like Fitbod and Infusionsoft, is there a way that we can learn these things and get these involved before really marketing and turning on that fire, really building up the system?
Yeah, I mean, marketing is always something that you have to do, no doubt about it. But if you're doing it on a broken system, it's never going to be quite as powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to the next week.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.